This American coastal town didn't just vanish overnight. Its disappearance wasn't a single dramatic event that captured headlines around the world. No, this town was erased slowly, piece by piece, claimed by the relentless patience of the ocean. For decades, it was a picture of tranquility. Built on the edge of a continent, perched on beautiful cliffs overlooking the vast Pacific, it was a place where people felt secure. Families raised their children here, walking the quiet streets, their lives unfolding in a rhythm that felt as steady and predictable as the tides. Life was ordinary, safe, and seemed destined to stay that way forever. But nature had started sending subtle warnings, whispers that something was wrong. At first, they were easy to dismiss. Tiny cracks appeared in the sidewalks, thin lines spider webbing across the concrete. In homes, doors that once swung smoothly began to stick in their frames, refusing to close properly. Floors developed a slight, almost imperceptible tilt. Homeowners would joke about their houses having character, unaware that these were symptoms of a much deeper problem. When concerned residents raised the issue, city officials reviewed the reports and geological surveys. They offered reassurances, suggesting it was just normal settling, nothing to worry about. The community, wanting to believe in the stability of their homes and their town, accepted these explanations. The small signs were noted, then largely forgotten. But then, a series of unusually heavy winter rains changed everything. The storms saturated the soft, porous cliffs the town was built upon. Deep underground, a slow and silent process was accelerating. Water seeped into the layers of shale and clay, lubricating the plains of weakness that had existed for millennia. The very foundation of the town began to lose its integrity. The ground, now heavy and unstable, began to yield to the inescapable pull of gravity. Almost imperceptibly at first, the land started to move. It wasn't a sudden landslide, but a slow, creeping descent toward the sea. Houses shifted by mere inches, then by feet. Lawns developed strange, rolling contours. Fences buckled and roads began to ripple. The movement was so gradual, you couldn't see it happen in real time, but every morning the evidence was clearer. The town was sliding into the ocean. Realization dawned not with panic, but with a heavy, quiet certainty. The fight was already lost. Families began to pack their belongings, a somber and organized exodus. There were no frantic escapes, just the methodical process of dismantling a life. They knew they weren't just leaving their homes. They were leaving behind a place that no longer existed in a stable reality. Some residents, facing the impossible task of moving a lifetime of possessions from a home that could collapse at any moment, made a heartbreaking choice. They walked away with only what they could carry, leaving everything else behind. Houses stood fully furnished, like eerie time capsules. Family photos remained on the walls, dishes sat in the cupboards, and toys lay scattered on the floor, waiting for children who would never return. The ocean, which had been a beautiful backdrop for so long, was now an advancing threat. It reached the first buildings teetering on the cliff's edge. At high tide, waves lapped at their foundations. The inevitable was now imminent. Then, a powerful winter storm rolled in, its waves crashing against the weakened cliffs with a violence the town had never before witnessed. That one storm was all it took to deliver the final blow. Where houses once stood, there was now just empty air. Entire structures, weakened by the shifting ground, were simply swallowed by the sea, vanishing into the churning water without so much as a sound. There was no explosion, no dramatic collapse caught on camera. One day, a house was there. The next, it was gone, as if it had never been built at all. After the fact, experts re-examined the geological maps and confirmed what some had suspected all along. The land was inherently unstable, a slump zone just waiting for the right conditions to fail. Digging deeper into the archives, they found that warnings had existed even before the first homes were built decades earlier. The desire for a beautiful ocean view had outweighed the caution of geologists. The town was built on a promise the land could never keep. What was left of the community was officially condemned and abandoned. Roadblocks went up, decorated with stark "road closed" and no entry signs. Utilities were shut off. The town became a ghost town, but not one that would be preserved. Its streets, once filled with the sounds of daily life, grew silent and were slowly consumed by weeds and wild vegetation. Nature began its work of reclamation with an unhurried efficiency. The ocean continued its advance, eroding the land where streets once ran. Pavement crumbled and fell away, replaced by sand and surf. The line between where the town ended and the ocean began blurred, then disappeared completely. Looking at old photographs, you see a thriving community, but those images now feel like fading memories of a phantom place. The town was slowly erased from modern maps, its name becoming a footnote in local history, a cautionary tale whispered among developers and city planners.